Let's go down to the Bud Light Hotline where we welcome in our first guest. He is the Director of Athletics at the University of Alabama, on the job since March 1st, so well over 6 months now. Greg Byrne is with us. Good morning, Greg. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning, Gary. How you doing?
Oh, doing very well. Great to have you. You and I had that sit-down interview that we did for television. We've ran it a bunch of times on WVO 23, and I've had a lot of feedback, so we covered your entire career. Today, I just want to focus mainly on Alabama. As I said, over 6 months on the job now. How's it been so far?
It's been great. Regina and I both feel so fortunate to now call Tuscaloosa home, and from the way our fans have been at all the events I've been at around the state, and now our sporting events, and then Dr. Bell and the trustees here internally, our coaches, our staff. There's a reason why Alabama's had a lot of success, and it starts with the people we have here, and really enjoyed getting to know our student athletes as well. So feel very fortunate to be here, and we've rolled up our sleeves and been working at it, and got a lot that we're doing right now.
Yeah, you definitely hit the ground running, and now we're into football season. 3 games in. I know you're responsible for the whole department, but getting your first taste of Alabama football, how have you enjoyed that?
It's been great. Just the crowd that we had over in Atlanta for obviously the opener against Florida State to the last 2 home games, seeing the passion that's there when our team gets off the bus for the Walk of Champions, and the energy that goes with that, and then getting to walk around campus and seeing everybody tailgating and having a good time with that. Just the atmosphere inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium is certainly one of the most special things in college sports as a whole. And it's, just the way our fans support it. And, obviously we're jumping into SEC play now this weekend against a really good Vanderbilt team that we got to go play well. And it'll be great to see. I'm sure we'll have a good contingent of fans up there in Nashville for the game, and look forward to heading up there for that this weekend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Alabama always travels great to Nashville. I've been in that stadium when there's been as many Alabama fans as Vanderbilt fans. Now, this week it may be a little different. Those Vandy fans may be hanging on to their tickets. Speaking of the Walk of Champions, the Digital Media Center where WVUA 23 is located is right in Bryant-Denny Stadium, right above the Walk of Champions. And I was sitting up there. I always like to watch that from the big window before I go into the press box. And a couple of weeks ago for the Fresno State game, I looked down, and there's you and your wife, Regina, just mixing in with folks there at the Walk of Champions, just kind of mixed in. I actually snapped a picture and put it out on Twitter. But tell me about that. Tell me about why you decide just to get in there with the folks and watch the Walk of Champions almost like a fan.
Well, I tell you, I think I'm trying to figure out what my game day looks like, but I come into the office here in the morning and over at Malmore, and I've actually been walking down to Bryant-Denny for the games, and just get a chance to be around and see our fans. And I had obviously seen the Walk of Champions on television before I saw Parade Day this past year, but it's something that I wanted to see up close and personal. We've had guests in town. They wanted to see it, so I thought, you know what, great place to meet. So actually, Regina and I, that's where we meet now before each game, and we get a chance to watch it. And then our guests that are coming in from really all over the country to come to Alabama games, they want to see it up close and personal too. And I think it's really important for me as the AD to get a chance to be around our fans, engage with them, listen to what they have to say. One of the great things about college athletics is people always have opinions about it, and that keeps you in business, Gary, doesn't it, with the radio shows and everything. And so I think it's important to have a chance to interact with them, talk to them, thank them for being there. I've actually gotten around. I haven't gotten around to every section, but I've gotten to every part of the stadium to watch what we're doing from an operational standpoint, and see where our strengths are, and see where maybe our challenges are as we continue to move the department forward. And just being there with the Walk of Champions out and tailgating is another chance to get to see that up close and personal, and that's something I always want to do.
Absolutely. You're right. All the things going on with athletics keeps me in business. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and we hear a lot these days about all that's wrong with collegiate athletics and how the young people have changed, and of course there's issues in regards to should you pay athletes and so forth and so on. But in my experience as a sportscaster, I don't think the young people are much different at all. I mean, they're still wanting to win. They're still wanting to get an education. They're still wanting to enjoy their collegiate experience. You've been basically surrounded by college athletes your whole life. Your dad, Bill, being an AD before you, and you've been involved in it for many years. There's still a lot of great things going on in collegiate athletics. And at the end of the day, do you think the kids are that much different than they were 30 years ago?
Well, I think how they communicate is considerably different, and I think sometimes the patience level probably isn't as strong as what it used to be, but they're still kids. Getting a chance to be around them on a daily basis. I'm 45 years old, and I still feel like I'm 20 years old half the time because I get a chance to be around the young people. And the reality is, Gary, I can't come up with the industry and enterprise that is perfect out there. I don't know of one. But for those of us who get to be around it on a daily basis and get to be around the young people for all 21 of our programs, and obviously getting a chance to be around our football team and guys that are on the highest level athletically in the country for the young men that get to play football here, as well as a lot of our other sports, it's refreshing, and it's fun to be around them and watch them grow, watch them mature, understand they're going to make bad decisions, they'll make mistakes from time to time, and that you try to support them however you can. But no, it's really something that's very good, and I've said this to a lot of reporters. I'd say 90% of what takes place in college athletics is really good. I promise you, I'm not going to get political here, but obviously we live in interesting times, and I think the thing that college football, college athletics does for us is think about Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It doesn't matter what political party you're in. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status. It doesn't matter a lot of things. We all come together for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that's something that's very special. And so I'll say we need more things like college sports and college football in our society, where the people, the young people in our program learn about structure and discipline and teamwork and hard work and the reward for those things. That's a very valuable thing, and so for us that get to be around it on a daily basis, you just feel so fortunate, and obviously we're doing those things very well here at Alabama, and we're going to do everything we can to support it going forward.
Alabama Director of Athletics Greg Byrne, our guest here on the Gary Harris Show. He comes to us courtesy of the Bud Light Hotline. All guests appear courtesy of the Bud Light Hotline presented by Adams Beverages, and you make a great analogy, and I tell people that all the time. It's amazing you brought that up about on Saturday afternoons or Saturday evenings, so whether you lean to the left, you lean to the right, whatever your affiliation politically may be, or your thoughts on the world, when that Alabama football team runs out of that tunnel, you're high-fiving the guy next to you or the lady next to you, and it doesn't matter. You're all on the same team, at least for about 3 hours. You're right. That's what sports does. It connects people in a way, Greg, maybe unlike any other thing in our society.
Well, and especially college sports, where you have the student body as part of it. And we always want to encourage, have a strong, student section. We do. We want them to stay the entire game. That would be a great thing. But it's something that and even where I came from before in Tucson, Arizona, North Tucson, South Tucson, East and West Tucson, a community of about 1 million people, they all came together for the Arizona Wildcats. And that's the same thing multiplied here at Alabama. And that you go throughout the state. And I've been all over the state. I'm going to actually be in Mobile tonight. And it's amazing wherever you are in the state of Alabama, just the way our university, and Auburn too, but the way our university brings people together.
I had Dr. Stuart Bell, University President, on my Crimson Tide Kickoff television show this past Saturday, and we were talking about what a recruiting tool that athletics is, and primarily football in just terms of notoriety and publicity and getting kids and their families on campus from around the country, out-of-state tuition now greater than in-state tuition. What does it feel like to be over an athletic department that is such, and I know it's like this at most places, but at Alabama specifically, where the athletic department is such a big factor in the university growth and in the visibility of the university? That's got to be extremely exciting.
I don't think there's a better university in the country where the university, the leadership of the university, the student body, the alumni base, the community around it, even the state around it, and the athletics department are better united than at Alabama. And that, one of the things that has really allowed us to have the success. I mean, obviously, Coach Saban, what he's done is historic. It's remarkable in the history in the past, obviously, with Coach Bryant and all the great Coach Stallings, all the great coaches we've had. But, the vision that was created by Dr. Witt, that Dr. Bell has continued with, to allow us to work collectively together. I mean, it has allowed the growth that's taken place and done a wonderful thing for our university, for Tuscaloosa, for our state. a quick story. I've told this one a few times in some of my speeches, but my very first week where I was boots on the ground here in Tuscaloosa, I go out to a baseball game on a Sunday. I come back and I'm trying to get back to everybody that reached out to me after I was named AD here, and I was down to my last few phone calls, and I look at this phone message from this Dwayne Richardson in Portland, Oregon, and I'm like, Dwayne Richardson, I know Dwayne from Portland, but I haven't talked to him for 15 years probably. So I called the number, it's him, and I said, Dwayne, why are you calling me? And he said, to congratulate you, but then my son's a freshman at Alabama, and he wants to work in the athletic department. And I said, well, so does half the student body at the university as well. But it showed you, here's a kid, and I guess there were maybe a couple classmates of his too out there in Portland who came all the way here to Alabama to go to school. And I said, obviously, we have academic things that interest him, programs that interest him. But he said he wanted a chance to be around Alabama athletics and Alabama football. And that is a driver, and there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Couple more minutes with Greg Byrne, Director of Athletics at the University of Alabama. You referenced Nick Saban. I want to ask you, what that working relationship has been like, and to have an opportunity as an AD to work with the best football coach in the country, one of the best of all time, and watch him on a daily basis. What has that experience been like? He's
been awesome. He and Miss Terry both. Obviously, have admired him from afar in the past, and I had been around him a few times at SEC meetings and some other things. But to get a chance to work with them, talk about what we're doing as a program, areas we can work to get better at, what we can do to support him in the program. I couldn't have asked for more support from him in my first 6 months, and we're going to do everything we can to support him, support the football program moving forward, just like it has been done in the past, but hopefully do even as much as we can to make sure we are able to continue to compete at the highest levels here for our football program. We know how important that is, and we're going to do everything we can day in and day out to give him the support and his staff the support and our student athletes the support to continue to have success on the gridiron, and the impact that has on the rest of our department is immeasurable. And so I couldn't have asked for a better 6 months with him.
Obviously, some sports are more successful than others. That's the way it is at every university. Overall, though, the health of this athletics department, now that you've been on the job for more than 6 months, where's that at? Where does it stand?
The health is really good. We've got a few programs that we're going to need to try to do everything we can to support them, to have them improve. I've told our coaches as we had our all department meeting to kick off the fall, that we're not going to apologize. We want to go compete for championships in what we do, and we've invested in our programs, and with that investment becomes an increased expectation, there's an opportunity here in everything that we do to go out and compete at the highest levels, and we're going to do everything we can to support our programs, our student athletes, and our coaches to give them that best opportunity.
Finally, facilities-wise, I know the SEC, it's been described like an arms race. If you're not building something, you're falling behind. A lot of talk from the fans about Coleman Coliseum, and I know there was a major renovation done to it about 12 years ago, and I think a lot of people that criticize it have never been. I think it's a much more functional facility and nicer than it gets credit for. Still, since I announced that you were going to be on, I've had several fans message me and ask me to ask you about Coleman Coliseum, and are there any plans for a new basketball facility at some point in the future? Well,
we're actually studying Coleman right now and the bones of it and its functionality. The footprint of it is very good. To have the space that we have inside there is something that's really good to work with. So we'll see, do we need a new arena, or is Coleman functional if we go and do some things to the interior of it from a seating standpoint, locker rooms, the underbelly of it, and is this something that would work for another 30, 40 years? And we don't have that answer yet, but we're working on that, and we're actually we're going to be working at updating our complete facility master plan to create the priorities for our department in the next 10 years of what we want to be focused on and reinvesting in. And it's not so much building new right now. One of the things we're going to have to make sure we do is reinvest in the infrastructure that we have, because if you don't reinvest in your success, you're going to fall behind. And it's not so much always about the building part. It's just making sure we keep up what we have to be on the forefront of college athletics.
Great stuff. Greg, I know you're very busy. I appreciate you carving out some time for us.
Thanks, Gary. Roll Tide.